Hey guys, how's it going? It's Vertical here, and today I'll be bringing you a guide for the simulator battles in closed beta tanks, particularly the aiming and um, how to combat tanks. Um, so let's get right into it. Um, I'm focusing on the German tanks, specifically the German mediums. Um, Panther line, Panzer IVs, and such. Um, and I'll be going over the guns, the ammo, velocities, penetration, and then I'll have some gameplay that will give a little bit of input on aiming, ranging, and hitting your target. Um, so let's start off with the very first Panther that you can get. Um, So it's got the 75 millimeter KWK-42, 79 rounds of ammunition, standard rounds of PZGR 3942, which is normal AP rounds, um, and they're for a Era 3 tank. They're pretty good. It will see some early Era 4 tanks, but most of the time it sees Era 3. Um, and at that, the penetration on this gun is ridiculous. Um, it's not the Tiger's 88, but it's still deadly, and it's mobile too. Um, but mobility is another thing. I'll have that up on another video, which will be mobility and positioning to get the most effective shots out. Um, but the ammo on this gun, it gets the PZGR 3942, which is standard AP, and then the SPRGR 42, which is high explosive rounds. Um, Now the velocity on your PZGR 3942s is 160 millimeters of penetration break from the barrel at 10 meters, and at the very least at 2 kilometers it's 97 millimeters. Um, Most of the time you'll be engaging targets at around 100 to 500 meters. Um, so you're looking at anywhere between 158 to 134 millimeters of penetration. Um, this is a lot of penetration for tanks you go up against. And for example, I'll pull up a Russian tier tier 3 tank. Um, let's go to the IS-1. Now the hull armor on this is 120 at the front, and the turret armor is 100 at the front. Now, engaging this at 500 meters, you're going to penetrate pretty much no matter where you hit, unless you hit the very sloped part. I'll pull up the model right quick. Unless your enemy's like this, and you're aiming for that part right there, which you should not do. Um, that's just stupid to aim there because your shells is not going to do anything. Um, if you aim like around there, um, in this area here, your lower glacis, and all around here, you can essentially kill the tank from the front, even if it's angled. If it's angled, you're going to want to hit right here. That's where you're going to have the most luck penetrating. Or if you get lucky enough, you'll penetrate right in here. If he has his gun facing at you, you'll aim at here and here. That will give you a penetration usually. Um, then again, from the sides, you can penetrate anywhere. Same from the rear, penetrate anywhere. Um, and if you're engaged in this tank at 2 kilometers from the side, you can penetrate it easily. Since the whole armor is 90, you get 93 um, penetration at 2 kilometers. You're going to essentially do it The hull, it might be a little bit tricky to get through, but there has been times at 2 kilometers where I have killed an IS-2 with the Panther. It's 3942 AP rounds. And it did go through the hull, but most of the time you're going to want to aim for the sides and rear of the turret. If you're up close at, as to say, 500 meters, which is not that close, but it's an average engagement range. Just aim at the hull, turret, rear, the collar around here, the lower glacis, and you'll get a pen. If you're shooting down at them from the top, go to town on them. You'll penetrate the top of the turret, and most of the time that will cause him to get his ammo rack exploded. That's saying that at rank 3, well, era 3, the IS-2 is essentially the most dangerous tank that your Panther will go up against. At era 4, the T-44 is equal with the IS-2. However, all three, well, pretty much every tank that's in the era 4 is deadly to a Panther, just because. I'll show you guys. Era 4 Russian tanks have really nice penetration, and for a Panther you get your armor is angled, but in all consideration you only have 80 millimeters of frontal armor on your hull, 50 millimeters of side hull armor, and 40 millimeters of rear hull armor. Your turret is 100 millimeters of frontal armor. That's on the gun mantlet. 100 and or 45 at the sides and 45 at the rear. So the Panther is not that armored of a tank. Though it's in saying that it has really nice mobility. Though when you're putting this into comparison with the Russian T-44, let's pull it up. The Panther is a much bigger tank than the T-44. Now, the T-44's hull armor is 90 millimeters at 60 degrees, which essentially doubles it to 180 at the front. Then it's got 75 millimeters at the side, 45 at the rear. Its turret armor is 120 at the front. That will be your gun mantlet area. It's 90 at the sides and 75 at the rear. Now, engaging this tank with the Panther, it can be quite difficult to kill it from the front, just because the amount of angle that the tank has, which then again boosts the armor up to about 180 millimeters, which is straight frontal. If it's angled on the side, you're talking about 200 plus. And the easiest way to kill the T-44, which is the same as all tanks, is to kill from the side or the rear, where they're least armored and they have no gun that can face you. It does take them a while to turn their gun around to you, so you will have time. Most of the time when you're jamming Panther, if you get a side shot on a T-44, you will one-shot it. Same with IS-2s. They're heavy tanks, but they're not the most armored heavy tank. They still rolled around them. But the Panther's weakness, rather than its armor, is its size. It's bigger than the IS-2. Like, it's much taller. It'll go up to about there. And it's just as long. And it doesn't have much armor, nor is the gun as powerful. But let's go back to the Panther. it's basically the Panther is a long-range tank, long-range gun, and it excels at that. And let's pull up the House of G. Now, like I said, it's a big tank. Panthers are big tanks. All German tanks are big tanks. That's all there is to it. You can't deny it. Well, the IS-2 would have only been right to there in height. The Panther is about a quarter or 25% taller than the IS-2. It's about 50% taller than the T-44, and it has less armor than anything it goes up against. Now, the gun on this thing, let's go back. Could have just opened up the weapon room tab, but whatever. I'm a blonde, just so you guys know. This does get PZGR 4042, which is a PCR, and you guys will see how big of a difference. So it's the same penetration as the Era 3 Panther, which is the very first Panther one. This is the second last Panther one, and there's a lot of them. So it has the same PZGR 3942 ammo. However, it gets PZGR 4042, as do the rest of the Era 4 tanks. Now, this ammo makes a big difference in your play. It has 218 millimeters of break penetration, which is your 10 meter range. You're under Panther. You shouldn't be 10 meters away from an enemy tank unless it's tracked or, well, tracked and its horizontal turret drive is gone. Other than that, if you're up close to a tank, chances are you're gonna die. At ideal engagement range, which is 100 to 500 meters, you have 210 millimeters of penetration down to 165 millimeters of penetration, and that's a lot of penetration for ammo at that era. And however, the PZGR 4042 does have a problem at 2 kilometers. PZGR 4042 has 92 millimeters of penetration at 2 kilometers, while the PZGR 3942, the standard ammo, has 97 millimeters of penetration at 2 kilometers. Now, that's only a matter of 5 millimeters, but that's 5 millimeters difference that could possibly allow you to kill a tank. So if you plan on engaging at super long distance, stay with PZGR 3942. But if you're gonna be in your ideal engagement range of 100 to 500 meters away, then go with PZGR 4042. Stay away from high explosive at long distance because you're practically gonna have to aim up to the bin to be able to hit anything. And so let's get some battles in so I can show you guys more better, since we went over the ammo a bit, and we'll show you how to aim and get you more hits, more damage, more kills. Or not more damage, more hits, more kills. What am I thinking? Like I said, I'm a blonde. Alright, I'll be back when I get around. Alright, so got a battle. This is Curse's defense, and I am in the Panzer V ASF-G, the last tier or era for Panther. And Kursk is a perfect map for um, learning how to range your shots, how to tell distance. Um, Unfortunately, the sites don't really have a guide for ranging in. Um, you pretty much got to range by trial and error, which is essentially you take a shot. If it's too low, you raise up, take another shot. If that's too high, go down a bit until you find your mark. But when you find your mark, just keep shooting. And as soon as you find your mark and sort of memorize how far away it looked like that tank was, you can sort of base each other shot that you take off of that. Um, Over time, you'll be able to figure out distances rather quickly and know where on your sight to aim down, like what line down you should go, whether it's a big or small line. Um, Eventually, you'll also learn where to shoot the tank. But as I said before, most of the time you're going to want to be shooting at the sides and the rear of the tank. If it's a lightly armored tank like a Panther or the front of a IS-2, then you can aim at the front. Just don't aim at the very angled part of the armor. As for the Panther though, the angled armor on it doesn't really do much. It's 80 millimeter and it's angled at what is it? 45 or somewhere around there, yeah. And it's not really, that brings its effective armor to about 110. So still anything can really penetrate you. So you're going to want to hide your hull if you can with the Panther. Other tanks, as Russians, like the IS-2, you're going to want to do that. On this map, they get a nice spot to do that, which is at F2. They can hide their hull completely and just have the turret exposed, which not very many tanks can penetrate. If you're in a SSA, a Tiger, King Tiger, you can penetrate with that long 88. Also the 105 that the Era 5 King Tiger gets, that can easily penetrate most tanks. Same for the Yag Tiger with its 128 millimeter. And then you get your Panthers. Most of them use a 75 millimeter, but the Panther 2, which is the very last Panther, that gets an 88, the same one that's on the King Tiger. Air 4 King Tigers. Now, each gun is different. Like the short 75 will shoot differently than the long 75, and the 75 for the Germans will shoot different than the 76 that the Russians get. All sorts of that. HE ammo doesn't shoot that far. Now right here, you see me aiming in on the IS-2. He sees me and stops, exposing his front collar on his hull to me. So I have experience on how far that was. So I aimed at the corresponding line and took a shot, which ended up blowing his tank up, so got one kill. And then I seen, on my minimap, I seen the medium marker. So I looked to see this T-44 take a shot. He backs up after I hit him, exposing all of his tank, and allows me to take one more shot to destroy him. So that's 3 effective shots, 2 kills. So that's a pretty good result. Now, you'll see over time, you'll start to be able to hit more. And the reason why you're going to be able to hit more is because you practice more, played more, and know how to estimate distances and where to aim on your sight. You'll familiarize yourself with how the tanks act. One tip of advice is do not try to shoot high explosive shells at long distances, because they just drop off after a while and don't hit their target. They're only good for close-up. That's pretty much usually within 100 meters or so, 200 if you're lucky. Also, behind this T-34 was a T-44. I had a shot off on him, but I didn't take it. Stupid of me. but he just got killed, so whatever. So I keep shooting this T-34, shot after shot after shot, and I cannot kill him. One thing you'll notice is your shots tend to go through your tank that you're shooting at, just because it has too high penetration and velocity to effectively damage it. But over time, um, well, eventually you will get that kill. Now I spot this A40. No, that's roll tanks. This is War Thunder, not roll tanks. Get your head in the game. T-44 on the hill. Now taking shots at I can't talk either. Okay, I need speech lessons. Taking shots at this tank is pretty useless. I did hit his cannon, but it was very, very lightly. And its armor at that range and my penetration, I wouldn't be able to hit him broadside and kill him. But I take some shots anyways to try and get some hits, and who knows, maybe I might get lucky and land right on top of him, but most of the shots are just going to have target undamaged come up. Now, a couple things for survival also that I'll add in here, even though it's not to do with aiming, is watch your minimap and see what tanks are where. A thin line is a light tank, which is typically AI. A thick line is a medium tank, which is a player. And the one that looks like a triangle is a heavy, like the one that you see at E4 right now. And the one that's right beside it that looks like a artillery piece or some sort of weird L, that's a tank destroyer. And if your biggest danger is if you see a medium tank coming up on your flank. If you see one of those on your minimap, you should always be paying attention to your minimap. That's all there is to it. You should rotate your hull towards them. That'll give your thickest armor. Angle if you can. If you don't have the time to, just try and brute force your way through and keep your hull, I already said hull, turret towards them as well. You're going to want to get as many shots in as you can before you can do all the damage to you. Now that T-44 I was shooting at, I could hit him. I still need practice. Like I said, it's hard to hit tanks at range while they're moving. Just to do with travel speed and all of the elevations and terrain they drive through. And I took a shot at that dead T-34 there because me being a dumbass forgot I actually killed him. And I moved forward a bit. Now this is a spot where Russians like to hold down. As you can see, they can barely, well, I can barely see the turrets. I can't see their hulls, which is their weakest point. But it's possible to kill them. I have killed a couple of IS-3s that were hull down there. That was all out of luck. So now on my minimap at F1, the very right corner, there's another T-44. I should be looking that way, but I'm zeroing in on this this tank. I'm not going to kill it. I am going to hit it. I'm not going to do any substantial damage, unfortunately, but it's enough that he will die to another player. You'll see in a few. Got a nice hit there. Took out his commander and gunner and his horizontal turret drive, so I essentially screwed him over there. And I just keep lobbing shots out just to see if I can actually hit him. And there's another tank that was right below him. You see the flashes there now. And I could have moved forward a bit and got shots on him, but I wasn't thinking properly, and I just stayed here. Now, another thing that you're going to want to watch out for. And along the lines of mediums is artillery. If you ever hear your commander say something along the lines of enemy is artillery barraging our square, you want to move out of the current square that you're at ASAP. Artillery will fuck you over. That's all there's to it. All it takes is one hit or a couple close hits and you're done for. Now both tanks that were there are now dead. The one behind and the one in front. And there's one TD left. And he's out of my view, unfortunately, so I won't be able to get another shot in. But hopefully you guys have got something from this video. I'll have more coming on survival and mobility and where to be, and just keep practicing and shooting at distance. It's the best thing you can do. So as always, take care, and see you on the battlefields.